Hello, sweet beans, and welcome to another episode of Polysaturated. We are embarking on episode 11, and today we're going to discuss hierarchy and roles in the polyamorous lifestyle.
Hierarchy.
Hi, Arky.
No,
I'm
I don't think
here
this...
with...
I am Zan.
And?
Crow.
And I'm Jay, and we're going to bring you, I don't know, a circus, sideshow...
Freak show?
Today.
Welcome to the Freak Show.
No, I don't think they're scary. Well, you guys aren't. Maybe
Mm.
I'm a little. I don't know. We're going to talk about hierarchy and roles in this episode because we realize that, okay, first off, might be a little controversial amongst the poly community when it comes to, different types of hierarchy, whether you're going to do...
Oh, we want to mention our golden rule on this, as that as we delve into a fairly touchy subject amongst the poly community, if you're doing something and it works for you, then that's the right way to do it.
Keep doing it.
As long as nobody's getting hurt, well, unless you're into BDSM type of lifestyle and you want to get, a little bit of pain in there, then that's a different story. That's a
different podcast.
Mm-hmm. So it depends on, there's a lot of different types of, poly situations. So you're going to have, different types of hierarchy. If you even have a hierarchy, or you going to have a relationship anarchy, which means that, really nobody's kind of in charge.
I wanna be anarchy.
Yeah.
So
let's start with the question. What do people mean when they say... Let's delve into the primary question on this is, what do people mean when they say polyamorous hierarchy? What are they asking about? What are they saying?
So we're saying that Jay... Oh, wait, this is Jay's queen. And
No,
so,
I am not.
So
We're in a closet talking into scary microphones because you wanted us to.
Yeah, so no.
So what you're saying is I'm in charge. Oh.
The plan is working, Jay.
Yeah.
If he thinks he's in charge, we can...
Right.
I can hear you, right?
Top from the bottom.
Wait a minute. Fine.
I'm
Whatever.
your power bottom. Okay, that's a whole different thing. And no, all right. In the polyamorous community, there are terms that people like to adopt. They'll say, "This is my primary. This is my secondary. This is my tertiary," and so on.
It's my fourthiary.
Fourthiary. Is there a quaternary?
Quaternarian.
Quattriary. I don't know.
Septenary.
I thought that
Sextiary.
was a piercing.
Sextiary is like a... Isn't it like a special room?
Sexitary.
Oh, that's a special person.
Octitary. I don't know.
Anyway.
We need to get up to 27. Isn't that an important number to us?
Crow?
Yes.
You're I think you're the only one that's up to 27, which we still need to talk about.
We will later. Some other never. Or not at all, if you prefer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's one type of hierarchy, is the primary, secondary, tertiary. Another type would be valuing relationships based on age.
So you're the oldest here?
So what does that mean for us?
He goes in home
Well,
first.
As an example, some people, not us, would possibly say that y'all's relationship, Zan and Jay's, they've been married for...
We've been together since forever.
Right, but we're coming up on 20 years.
20 years of marriage.
Okay, together for 22. So a lot of people would say that naturally you would value a relationship with each other more than you would somebody you met 2.5 years ago.
But what if I've been knowing myself longer?
Or shorter.
Does anybody
Which is
really?
my case.
Does anybody really know themselves?
Have you
Does
met
anybody
Jay?
really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? But no, we are egalitarian. And that means basically
we're equals?
we treat each other as equals. So
I thought we were equals.
We're
No.
kind of
Zan's time together doesn't take precedence over our time with Crow.
Right.
So we're not eagles?
I guess when it comes to... we are not eagles. No, we're hawks.
I thought you were a crow.
Because we're about to hawk all the things that you own.
Whoa.
Well, shit. I feel a little attacked in this episode.
I
guess we just kind of go on round robin with these, just first.
Joking aside, a lot of people can maintain a certain amount of stability with their hierarchies. There's comfort in a well-defined role. We mentioned boxes a while back, and we said that boxes are great if you're looking for verbiage to define yourself. If you're looking for something to say, hey, I'm this, it's only when somebody tries to shove you into that box that it becomes a problem.
And shove the box up their ass.
So if in a hierarchical situation everybody has picked their spot, it could work out, theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
Not something I personally want to try, but it's something that if it works for you, great.
Now, one thing we did find that whenever we got into a relationship with Crow and X was that if an issue did come about, it was kind of strange how it happened, and it just kind of naturally did it, unintentionally naturally did it, was that if there was an issue, if there was, like, say, Jay was upset or X was upset or something like that, and something happened, whenever it came down to it, we kind of ended up separating and going, like, naturally, gravitating towards our longer-term partners. So that was kind of odd. So I guess it can unintentionally happen even though you're egalitarian, which is what we were, but it kind of just happened that the relationships kind of went their long-term based gravitational pull type thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's what you would consider couples privilege, but I think the difference in considering it a hierarchical situation is that we talked about it, we recognized what was happening, and we encouraged each other to go to the person that there was an issue with instead of, we always can lean on each other, but
right.
And we can always talk to each other about things that we're concerned about or things going on, but when it comes right down to it, in order to kind of nip that in the bud, we encouraged each other to, just speak to the person directly. So if I'm responsible for causing someone to feel some kind of way, I want to be held accountable for that, but I also want to be able to have the makeup time for that and to comfort them and make it right and not have somebody that wasn't responsible for doing what I did to soothe whomever I hurt. That should be something that I get to do because, that's what being in a relationship is about.
Right. And triangulating behavior like that has the additional effect of just burdening the person you're coming to.
Yeah.
Because not only do you have the relationship with them, and they have their own relationships elsewhere, they're also now receiving a burden that they never signed on for of you have a problem with C, and you're bringing that to them, which they had nothing to do with.
Right. So
now stress is building and resentment is even building. And now the person A is now upset with person C because you, yourself as person B, aren't going to C and saying what the problem is.
Right. So that's why it's really important in an egalitarian type of poly relationship to make sure that you're aware of what you're doing in the situation. So if you find yourself going to your longer term partner, realize that, like, hey, look, like I'm having this issue, whatever, but you want to be able to, instead of having a spat and then bringing it to your longer term partner, bring it to the one you're actually having an issue with. So in an egalitarian, you want to try to be as equal as possible,
mm-hmm.
which means that sharing of the love, the pain, the this, the that, the other together rather than separating everything. So other types of hierarchical.
Well, there's the stratified sort of hierarchy where everybody has a particular job, you might say, and they have to stay in their lane.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this can be confused with another type of hierarchy that we'll go into, which is kind of a non-hierarchy sort, an egalitarian sort. It can be confused with egalitarian because everybody has their job and then everybody stays in their place and everybody is happy. That works great until somebody's not. Somebody is just for fun. They want to be more. That can lead to issues.
So you're talking about, like, where the term of a unicorn can come in.
Where it can. If you gravitate toward your established partner
mm-hmm.
and you're taking on another, what's got to be realized is it can be understandable and very tempting to say, well, my 20 years with this person is much more valuable than the couple of months we've known this person.
Mm.
But that person, the new person, is a person.
Whoa. People are people?
It's so shocking, isn't it? I'm surprised myself.
Well, a lot of people would describe that as secondary or tertiary, which means third, where you're like third in line. And so,
But
who
wants to be third?
Who wants to be second?
Right. It's one of those things where when you say stuff like that, it automatically goes to a particular mode of thinking of this person's needs are also secondary.
Right.
And heaven help the tertiary and quaternary and all the other areas.
What about the canary?
The canary.
Not only that, but it leaves them capped as to how far they can advance the relationship. So what happens then if you go outside of those secondary bounds and you start having feelings that are not supposed to be in what you've deemed your secondary lane? Yeah. So if you go over the line and you start to bleed into other areas, then what happens? Like I say, if it works for you, it works for you. I don't like to be capped in that way, and I know a lot of people don't either. As a human being, it's in our nature to want to grow and change and, experience life to the fullest. I feel like if you've been listed as a secondary or if you're even doing that, Crow said it leads to a certain modality of thinking. This person's part in your life seems to be less, and that
it's like your love means less because you're new. You can't love more than anybody else, and you can't love equally to the person that I've been with for a long time.
And I guess a lot of people are more comfortable operating that way because it feels better to the ego. You don't, if somebody is jealous per se, you can just, they're my secondary, you're my primary. And so, it helps them, quote unquote, feel better about their position in your life. And if that's the case, then there's probably a lot of communicating that needs to happen. Any
unresolved things that need to be brought to light, so to speak.
Take a shot.
I'm only drinking coffee tonight. So.
And
absolutely. It's one of those things where it's very tempting to go with the one you're more familiar with, more comfortable with, but you have to value the other person in and of themselves because they're not going to want to stay secondary forever. One of Jay's established primary goals that she kept promoting as soon as we all came together as a family to try to be polyamorous and try to come together as a family was exactly that. No, this is our family. These are our children. This is our time together. This is our home. These are our things. This is things that are important to Zan are important to all of us.
And it's one of those things where verbiage does come in handy whenever you're describing things. Like, this is our house. Like, this new house that we bought is ours. And if I just say, like, well, my name is the only one in the deed, it's my house. It's one of those things where using terminology, using the verbiage that you use, carefully, defining things that if you want to be egalitarian is where if you keep saying mine, it's mine. It's all mine. It's all mine. You can't have any. It's all mine. And you know what?
It's almost the antithesis of polyamory to keep using mine. To keep saying this has got to be mine and that's yours over there.
Talking about my girl, my girl.
Well, in a way, I mean, you can use words like mine and yours to kind of leverage into meaning and take responsibility and take an active role. This is my family. Doesn't mean you're the head. It means that this is the family you belong to. And as long as you're in that mentality, it's not a destructive or divisive word.
Right. And so, but you do have to watch about those destructive parts. So you have to make sure that, you're going to use the verbiage that you want to build your relationship, your poly relationship.
I feel like there's so many privileges that come along with having an established relationship that adding another boundary is just almost like shooting yourself in the foot. And it's kind of putting a cap on possibilities of things that could happen. I like things to develop more organically and see where they go, as opposed to just snipping off the potential before it can even happen. So, if you set